So now we're going beyond just securing the job and being hired and so on and so forth. Now we're looking at beyond the job even. Now we're looking more at career. We're focused on the career. You might be working in a job that you're just trying to get income, but you have a career in mind kind of going forward. So remember, so that in that career side, the career can be for a lifetime. Skills and attitude that can lead to a fulfilling work life would be learning how to communicate or developing this even further. Communicating well with others, trying to be flexible and open to new ideas, developing efficient work habits. These are, again, are not something that are easy to come by. It takes time to do this. Use different techniques that would be involved, like in terms of your own personal time management on, to make yourself always with the objective of making you more efficient at your job. And situational awareness is also very, very important. Anticipate problems that might be, that might be arising within your area. So you might have you may be, not as proficient in something as you think you might be, as you should be, if you will. So anticipating the problems that might be associated with something like that by doing what? By getting more education, et cetera, right? And being creative as much as you can be and willing to assist others, because that's where you learn, by helping other people. There's another, I'll keep throwing these expressions at you, but there's nothing quite like the best way to learn something is to teach something, because then you have to take ownership of it, right? So helping other people is very, very important. Providing good, solid advice, training opportunities, continue to, to pick up on these things that are out there, webinars, seminars, etc. Keeping up on your competition with other companies, and discussing things with your coworkers. And by the way, when you think about the term college, that's collegiality, meaning that you're speaking to your colleagues. So that's what this stuff is all about. It's not just so in the career path, it's always keeping in mind that you're working with other people, right? So there are different phases, glide paths, and so on and so forth when we're talking about careers. But something to keep in mind that no matter where you're at, no matter what job you're in, no matter what career that you're embarking upon, or that you're currently in, perhaps it's very important to have mentors. Um, Mentors are people that you can go to. Maybe it's your boss, maybe it's your current boss, maybe it's a former boss, maybe it's somebody that hopefully somebody that has some experience in the area that can provide you with some good insight, and to provide you with some good feedback and to good counseling, if you will, kind of going forward. So the different stages, pre-entry or career exploration stage, again, assessing your interest and so on and so forth, and then the other part, of course, is matching those interests with those employment possibilities, and all the different things that kind of come along with that. We're met with disappointments in life all the time, and it's no different within the career, where it doesn't kind of match up with what you had hoped it was going to be, for example, and dealing with these things. So this is kind of at the entry level, and then establishing your professional growth stage. What that means is that you're gaining experience and concentrating on an area of specialization, developing your career contacts and avoiding over-involvement and career burnout, meaning don't over-volunteer for things. I hate to put it that way, but this can be something where if you're over-involved in something, you might find yourself working 50, 60, 70 hours a week. Crazy as it sounds, that can happen, and that can be detrimental, of course, to your health. And also it could really it could really have a detrimental impact upon your love of the job that you currently have. So making advancements, kind of moving along, it's a mid-career adjustment stage. That's where you may change careers altogether. You may opt to. I've seen people move from like finance areas and move into healthcare, for example, looking for something different, right? So you're continuing to change, to obtain your knowledge and growing your knowledge base, et cetera. But you're always looking for new challenges, et cetera, and because you want to always to curiosity is a very, very important thing to kind of keep in mind, to tap into. Um, and at the same time, you're not alone out there in the workforce. So you want to make sure that you continue to be that good colleague, that person that's helpful as you're kind of moving along. And then toward the end, the pre-retirement stage, like preparing for retirement, um, you start to plan for these things, and that planning involves finding going beyond just your career and kind of transitioning out of that, determining the extent of the professional involvement after retirement, meaning what is it that you want to do when you're retiring? After you're retiring, do you want to get involved in different things? But there's always that uh, that what am I going to do tomorrow morning when I wake up at 6 in the morning to go to work and I'm not working? So prepare yourself for these things is kind of what we're saying here. So planning to be involved in different things, health related, et cetera, all the things that kind of come up. So this is the kind of the career path, what happens typically going forward in whatever career that you're choosing to be going forth in, right? So changing careers, meaning that it's going to happen one way or another. You may find that you're extremely proficient in something and that career is going to change, it's going to go away. Especially when we start thinking about these things that the insecurity in the workplace, especially when we consider artificial intelligence, right? Um, it's difficult to change is always difficult, but it's something that we're always encountering. So we want to, try to keep up with these things, and what I mean by that is being cognizant that change is going to occur, and how best can you adapt to that change, right? So forced changes that can be very, very tough to deal with. When a job loss, being fired or being laid off, however you want to express it, that can be very, very difficult for anybody at any stage in their work life, if you will. And whether you're younger or older, there's a tremendous amount of upset that's involved with that. So always kind of keep these things in mind. Is that um, the job is, or even the career part, it's something that is not your entire life. Remember what I said before about your day is divided up into two categories: work and leisure. So try to focus on some other things, and it's difficult to do that when you're under pressure to keep your job, et cetera. But it's very good to compartmentalize things if you possibly can. So the way you do things like that is finding other activities that you could be involved in. Um, and uh, if your job is going to go away, start planning for it. If career-wise and all the things that can kind of come along with that, do is and always trying to keep up with things and constantly keep updating your skills, and look for opportunities out there because there are always opportunities. Okay. And above all else, in terms of like maintaining your health and your mental health as well as your physical health, but uh, try to maintain a positive outlook because this too shall pass, right? Always kind of keep these things in mind. So we start talking about things like resumes. I've said this over and over again. It's pretty straightforward with a resume. Typically, we're looking at chronological resumes where we're doing reverse chronological order, meaning that we, so far as experience is concerned, we put our most current job down and then we go back from that, and always keeping in mind about the tenses. This is, if it was a previous job, it was in the past. All right, keep that in mind. So developing your resume, the first thing you would be looking at the personal data section, who you are, meaning you want to make sure that you do have your name correct and your contact information correct. No need to put in two different phone numbers. You can just use your cell number. If you happen to have a landline at home, just ignore that. That's in the past, if you will. So just focus on your cell number. People just use that as a default anyway. So you want to get your experience down and your education, and other related information, meaning such things as hobbies, because you never know. You never know who you're going to run into, and if you've got something that's interesting, keep that in mind. If you're an Eagle Scout, for example, make sure that's always on your resume. References, you do not include them with your resume, but you do have those at the ready. Different types of resumes, chronological resume, functional resume, etc. There are lots of others, video resumes that are out there. But the main differences between chronological and functional resume. Chronological, again, reverse order, so your most current job going backward. Functional resume, if you're changing careers, but if you have some some past experience within the framework of the career choice you're moving into, you may want to put that experience, if you will, at the top. Okay. At any rate, these are things, just different, techniques that are involved in, putting together a resume. It's very, very important. Most importantly is to keep your resume updated and have somebody else take a look at it for you. You don't want to just do this focused on your own. You want other people to kind of provide you with some feedback. So when you're preparing your resume, you want it to be professional as possible, meaning that you do things, you put it together in a rational manner. You want to make sure that there's some white space, meaning you don't want everything just packed in. You want to have it organized in a manner that is readable, right? You want somebody to pay attention to it. And when I said before about updating your resume every time that you apply for a different job, this is absolutely critical because you want to format that you want to target that job that you're applying for, those specific skill sets that they're looking for. You want to be able to, again, be very, very focused on that job. Cover letters are even more important. So very, very straightforward. 3 paragraphs: introductory paragraph, development paragraph, and a concluding paragraph. The introductory paragraph lets the person know where you saw this job. And again, artificial intelligence is excellent for helping in terms of guiding your path so far as resumes and cover letters, but cover letters in particular, because a cover letter goes beyond just your current experience. It speaks to why it is that your resume, why you are fit for this job. And so this is where you tie the job description in with that cover letter. You're focused on something within the framework of whatever that job description is. And that's the second paragraph, where you develop your highlight specific qualifications, etc. And the last paragraph that you would have, again, would be something very straightforward, and that would be, you want the job. This is that closing argument, why you want the job, and that you do want the job. Politicians, at the end of every speech, they ask you for your vote. So with the interview, it's critical to the actual interview itself. So you submitted your resume, your cover letter, and now you're up for the job. And again, this is where you focus your efforts on what you own the resume. Whatever's on the resume, that's something that you have to be able to defend and Not to say that you wouldn't, but you have to be that is your body of work, if you will. So kind of keep that in mind. Anyway, do as much research on the company as you can. Look at the annual reports, any newsletter articles pertaining to that company, and practice, meaning that there are questions that they will ask you, and I'll get to that in a minute, but you practice your interview skills, whatever it takes. Stand in front of a mirror, talk to yourself, record your voice. That is very, very helpful. To do something along those lines, and always dress appropriately. Make sure you're neat and you have a haircut, and so on and so forth. All the things that you would, and make sure that you are on time for that interview. Make sure that you have copies of your resume, and any other documentation you think you might need as you're going in for that interview, right? So the actual questions that you'll encounter, they're going to be specific, and you're always going to be off. They're part of the thing to keep in mind with an interview is that there are two sides to this. One is you talking to them, so you're interviewing them, but more importantly, I guess you might say, is that typically we would look at it as they're interviewing you. That's true, but it does go both ways. Keep that in mind. This is a discussion. At any rate, different types of interview questions, education and training questions, what kind of education, how does it fit for this organization, etc. Behavioral or competency-based questions. Describe different things about your workplace, and this is where you get into they want specific examples. If you can quantify something, it's a marvelous thing where you say, yes, well, I improved sales by $5 million last year. And something that's provable, of course, something that you could take ownership of. And there's a lot of descriptions, meaning describe how you would do this, what your experiences are with making these things happen. Describe a situation in which your determination helped to achieve a specific goal, for example. Describe situations in which you demonstrated creativity. Describe a difficult situation that you encountered in the workplace and how you dealt with that. Other things would be like personal quality questions. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? And what do you plan to be doing in 3 to 5 years from now? This is where you say, yes, I plan to be working for this company, and so on and so forth. You're not going to be saying things like, yeah, I'm going to be sitting where you're sitting, I'm going to have your job. No, you're talking about your own personal development is what we're saying. Lots of different things that you would be going along, but those are the three main categories. You're never going to know all the questions they're going to ask. Nonetheless, it's important to kind of be prepared for these things, because at some point you'll be stumped by something that they ask, and that's okay. Remember, control yourself, slow down, ask to repeat the questions, and these are techniques that are all involved with this interviewing process. It's very important to kind of keep up to snuff on this. These are things that you'll be using going forward for the rest of your work life.